Thank you very much, Robert. We're going on a bit of an archaeological dig for this next story. UNF archaeologist Dr. Keith Ashley has been doing a lot of research and digging on Big Talbot Island. He joins us now along with Maggie Alley with some exciting discoveries. Guys, we've aired some of the story already today, but we get an up-close look at this. Describe how long you've been working at this site and what some of these artifacts mean for your research.
Well, we've been out on Big Talbot Island since 1998, but kind of intermittently. So we're out there 98, 99, then we came back in 2020, 2021, and now we're out there now. So we think we have a community called Serbe. So it's a Mocama-Timucua community. Mocama is the dialect of Timucua that was spoken here, so sometimes we refer to them as the Timucua. So we're getting a glimpse of their everyday life really during the late 1500s, early 1600s.
And what are some of these artifacts that we have? Because at first glance, you would think, okay, we might have like spearheads or pottery, things like that. What exactly do we have here?
Maggie?
Some of the indigenous artifacts we have here are pottery. We actually have a total of 10,000 or more from this site alone. So this is some cop-marked pottery and some pottery that would have been made at the time of European arrival.
Okay,
as well.
Now European arrival, we know that to be about like 1500, 1600, or even a little more recently than that. How long do you expect or estimate that these people were at that site?
So we think the area that we're actually digging, we feel pretty confident based on radiocarbon dates, based on kind of documentary evidence, and based on the artifacts themselves. We're looking at probably a window of like 1580 to 16.
Then, so we have some pottery over there. What did this site tell you about who these people are? Because if it was a city, like a lost city of Serbe, was it more of an advanced, civilization than possibly we may have thought just 6 weeks ago?
Yeah. Well, no, there's an indigenous community. It's really kind of a town because they do have a council house, and we think we may have actually found the council house, and there would have been probably 100 to 200 people living kind of within this community. And so they would have been interacting with other nearby Mocama communities, and we also have evidence of interacting with other indigenous people outside of kind of the Jacksonville area.
Fascinating. What was their life like? Were you able to determine that? Are we talking about farming, mostly hunting, things like that?
We do have some corn, so we know they are growing corn. What's interesting is people think that they've been growing corn for a really long period of time. All of our radiocarbon dates and everything, they're not growing corn until maybe 100 years prior to European arrival, so the 1450s. So they're still really heavily dependent on the marsh and the estuary, so there are a lot of fishing, shellfish collecting, those things.
How large of a crew did you have? And then also, how painstaking is it? Because a lot of us see archaeological digs and we're thinking like, okay, Indiana Jones. And we understand they might not be swinging on too many vines in order to find things, but we also see the small brushes to push away some of the dust and like the strings to lay out the site. Describe just the painstaking effort this goes into.
That's nice.
Yeah, so everything we do, archaeology is, after all, like a science, so everything has to be regulated, and there's standards for everything. So we go by meters, and every unit has levels that have a certain number, and we usually control for most things. I don't know if you can go farther.
So really, we are destroying an archaeological site, yeah. So what we have to do is dismantle it in an incredibly systematic and methodical manner. So we are excavating really slowly. We record where everything is. To us, context, the relationship between artifacts is what's important. Sometimes people will say, oh, I found all these artifacts, and we really can't tell that much about them. It's really where that artifact is found, within what layer, what's it associated with. So we're really trying to take this apart really systematically. Then we go back to the lab and then interpret what's going on.
Well, let's take some of these artifacts that you have for us right here. For example, what does this artifact tell you necessarily about the people there?
This one here is really pretty incredible. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. So this is a native piece of pottery. Mm-hmm. So when we realized, we turned to the inside and they've engraved a cross on there. Can you see it? It's really faint. We've never seen anything like that. So they probably have seen a Christian cross and are mimicking that design on the inside of this pot.
So do you believe that they may have been converted to Christianity around the time of this pot being made?
I think the Spanish are trying to convert, but whether or not the indigenous people really are taking to conversion in the way the Spanish want them to be, just because they may be co-opting that symbolism and putting their own meaning behind it. So their meaning for it may not be the same as the Catholic meaning that's being kind of preached to them at the time.
That's fascinating to me, especially the way that we've seen, sort of civilization evolve throughout time. How can you determine how widespread this civilization was? Because this is one city, but really over how much of our area were these people?
So what we can look at, the Mokama speakers, that dialect of the Timucua, there's probably maybe 15 to 20 kind of towns or communities, probably between just on the south side of the St. Johns River up into Cumberland Island and the mainland of southeastern Georgia. So it's the maritime dialect of the Timucua language. So we're probably seeing 15 communities that are within that area.
Maggie, what was your biggest takeaway from being a part of this dig?
I just think it was a great experience for me. I'm out there as a field assistant this year, so I'm able to like take a bigger part in it and see like the background of what stuff is happening, and I think that's really cool. And having done this site before last year and gone through the lab, everything I see just has a new meaning, I guess, because I can identify everything and see what it means, and I can't wait to get in the lab to like put it all together and get something out of it.
Well, it's fascinating. Guys, thank you so much. Maggie and Dr. Keith, we really enjoy having all of these items here. And for more on this, we can check out UNF's website as well. And then also Jessica Clark's story, which we've shown this morning, has more information on what was found and what it means for our area. We're back.